Pete Prisco joining us this morning on the show. Pete, good morning.
What's up, DA? How are you?
I'm great, man. Always great to talk to you. And let's start with Baker Mayfield. Should Browns fans get excited, or should they pump the brakes?
Well, they should get excited. I don't think there's any question about that. Look, when you draft a 6-foot quarterback first overall, there's always a risk involved. And I'll be honest with you, I was one of the guys that wouldn't necessarily have taken him there. But after watching him last night, the kid has the ability to make plays. He has the ability to stand in the pocket, move in the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, go through his reads. There was a play last night. It wasn't a completed pass, but he came to the line of scrimmage, saw one-on-one on the left side, checked to the play, checked to a go route, threw a pretty good ball down the left sideline that Callaway could have caught. It was incomplete. But those are the kind of things you want to see. So, yeah, they should be excited. And, look, Tyrod Taylor did some good things as well last night. But the bottom line is this is going to be Mayfield's team at some point. I'm a big believer in you get on with it as soon as possible and let him play.
Meantime, in Buffalo, Josh Allen at times looked really, really uncomfortable. I never want to throw the baby out with the bathwater after preseason games, but we already knew that Josh Allen was rough around the edges in a project. How long is it going to take, do you think, for Josh Allen to really mold into an NFL QB?
DA, you got to go back and watch that game. He was much better than the things that people were sending out on Twitter. I watched it. I went back and rewatched it. There were a lot of good things he did. He threw a couple rifle shots in the middle of the field, anticipating a guy coming open. But everybody will remember and look at the play where he was spinning around and threw the ball up in the air and they laughed at it. Well, that was fourth down. It was a called bootleg, and he booted out of the pocket, and the guy was standing right there waiting for him. They knew it was coming. I was turned to Jamie Eisenberg in the press box last night watching the game, and I said, look, they're going to boot with him. I knew it was coming. And so he retreated and retreated and retreated. And fourth down, what do? You try and throw something up and try and make a play. So, look, he threw a nice touchdown pass late in that game. He made a lot of good throws. But everybody saw the 60-yard rifle shot down the sideline that was out of bounds, and then they saw that play, so then they criticized him. For some reason, that guy gets abused by people on Twitter and in the media for no reason. I don't get it, because I do think he's going to be a good quarterback. And if you go back and rewatch that game, you'll come back and you'll go, you know what? It was a lot better than I thought it was.
Well, that touchdown pass definitely showed just how strong his arm strength is, and he put it in a place that very few quarterbacks can do, especially earlier in their career. But this was a question mark for the Bills picking him where they did. You were cool with that pick. You liked them taking Josh Allen there.
I would have taken him first, I'll be honest.
Really?
I would have taken – and there were a bunch of other teams that would have taken him first. I know I talked to a bunch of teams that love the kid. Yeah, look, he's big, he's strong, he's confident. He played at Wyoming I always joke around, he played with bouncers and bartenders at Wyoming, and they couldn't – if you go back and watch his tape, the ball's dunking off their face mask. And he had some mechanical flaws, don't get me wrong. I mean, he had a different stride. His accuracy was hurt by that, but looks like they fixed it. And I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. I don't know if it'll happen this year. I would. Again, I'm a big believer. If you draft a guy that high and he's your franchise, go play him. And everybody says, well, what about the psyche of the kid? Well, if the psyche of the kid gets messed up by a bad first season, then you drafted the wrong kid in the first place. And so that's why I'm a big believer in playing all the young guys.
Pete Prisco joins us here from CBS Sports. That's interesting you say that, because I tend to go the other way. I mean, there are good quarterbacks that I feel have been littered across carcasses of highways because they were thrown to the wolves with really bad teams or bad offensive lines, and they kind of never got their feet under them. I mean, there are certainly guys like Peyton Manning or Troy Aikman that started for really bad teams from day one, and they were great Hall of Famers. But you don't think that putting a young guy in a bad situation early could end up derailing a career?
If he's the wrong guy.
So you think every right guy ever would be able to handle a bad team?
Yeah. I mean, Eli Manning, they took, a couple games, was it about a half a season when Eli went in, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, that was a plus 500 team. That was not an 0-16 Browns team.
Peyton's team was terrible,
yes.
Like you mentioned. Aikman's team. Matt Ryan took a team that wasn't in the playoffs the year before and turned them into a playoff team.
Well, I'm not saying that it can't be done, but you think that if you're a good quarterback, it doesn't matter what your surrounding pieces are, you will be able to succeed.
No, I'm not saying you're going to succeed that year, but what it does, it gets you faster to the next year. And when you're playing, otherwise you're delaying what happens next year. Then you're throwing a first-year quarterback in there next year, and so it's delaying the inevitable. I think, and every quarterback I've ever talked to said there's nothing like playing. Nothing. You can sit on the sideline and practice and do anything else. You don't learn. You don't learn the game by not playing. And so, and people will point to David Carr, but there were other circumstances with David Carr. David Carr was one of those guys supposedly that went home at 5 o'clock. He didn't love it. He didn't live it. That's what I was told. Then you go around the league. Jamarcus Russell. I mean, those guys they didn't love it and live it. If you love it and live it, and you're a good quarterback, you're going to withstand all the crap that you take in the first year and just move on. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody says, "Oh, look, Aaron Rodgers sat." He had Brett Favre in front of him. There's a reason he sat, right? I mean, they don't exactly have. They don't have in Buffalo. They don't have Brett Favre sitting there. They have A.J. McCarron and Nathan Peterman. I mean, so that's why I say play the young quarterback.
Well, I totally get that. It does delay your timeline if you do sit guys. But, I mean, are you saying that Aaron Rodgers or Steve McNair would have been good whether they were out there day one, week one of their rookie season versus when they sat? They didn't benefit from sitting?
Well, Aaron Rodgers, I know, would have been, no matter what he did. He would have played. He would have stepped on the field and been fantastic from day one. That's who he is. You are what you are. And now, McNair came from a pretty basic, primitive offense when he came into the league, so it was a different time. But he would have been the same guy. I mean, yes. You are what you are, and if the first year breaks you, then you're not going to make it anyway.
That seems crazy, Pete. I mean, I love you, but you're telling me that the day you walked into a newsroom right after college, you should have been a columnist for the New York Times?
No, obviously not. That's a different animal. This is football. I mean, you can.
Well, you say you are what you are. I mean, if I walked out of college and my first job was hosting middays on CBS Sports Radio, that could have totally broken me. But instead, I started at $18,000 a year in Fort Myers. I mean, I just can't see how just throwing a guy to the wolves is all.
I was never a radio guy in my life, and they gave me a job in Jacksonville. I hosted Drive Time for 8 years. It wasn't I knew how to do it. It wasn't complicated.
Oh, well, thanks, Pete.
It's not. Hey, I'm not talking. I'm just saying you could learn how to do things. You could learn how to do my job. You would do my job, and you could learn how to do it. It's not. We can't be brain surgeons because that takes time to learn how to do it. Football and this kind of thing, it's not that complicated.
You don't think playing quarterback in the NFL is complicated?
They've been doing it their whole lives. If you put the work in, and I'm talking about take it home, live it, love it, breathe it. Watch endless amounts of tape. Be the guy that picks brains of everybody on the field. It's not that hard to do. Yes, you're going to grow. You're going to be better in year 5 than you are in year 1. But if you don't go in there, all I'm saying is if you go in there in year 1, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes, if you go in there in year 1 and those break you, then you're never going to be a quarterback in this league anyway. You're going to be broken. That means you drafted the wrong guy. If you go in and make mistakes and you come through that, you're going to be that much better for playing that year.
But, I mean, I get your point with great players, Hall of Fame players, because I think you're right. They probably are able to rise above whatever is thrown at them. But not everybody's a Hall of Fame player, and sometimes you're just looking for a really good 8 to 10-year quarterback. And to me, there's got to be shades of gray here. Like a guy that's not going to be Peyton Manning, isn't he inevitably, potentially going to be hurt by playing for a bad team before he's ready?
Maybe, but if he is, then his psyche isn't very good, and he drafted the wrong guy. If I've drafted a top 10 quarterback, he's going to play, and he's going to go through that first year. And if he's not, then he doesn't handle it. He comes back in the second year, and he's a broken man. Then you know what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to go back in and get another one because you drafted the wrong guy. I'm a big believer in playing them and letting them take their lumps, and if they can't handle it, then you drafted the wrong guy. And that's on them.
Do you think the Jets should start Sam Darnold week 1 then?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, no doubt about that. I look at their roster. I don't see Brett Favre on that roster. Do you? I see a journeyman in Josh McCown. Now he's been a decent player at times, but he's the guy that's a bridge. Tyrod Taylor's the bridge. Sam Bradford is the bridge. You don't have sustainable success in the National Football League with bridges. And when I look at the rosters of those teams, I don't see a ready-made situation where the bridge is going to step in and maybe the defense is going to play great and get them to 12-4 and maybe make a run in the postseason. I just don't see that happening with those teams. So get on with it. Play the kid. I say it all the time. Play the kid. And if you break the kid, then you get rid of the kid, you go get another kid.
I mean, that is just ruthless. You're just a soulless, ruthless. If you break the kid, get rid of the kid. I mean, my God, Prisco.
Yeah, well, and if the kid, is a star, then you got your next 12 years decided for you.
You're like Ivan Drago. If he dies, he dies.
I mean, hey, it's a cruel. Hey, DA, you've been on a practice field before. When you've seen a guy get hurt on the practice field, they're tending to him, and they move the drill over about 5 yards and run the next play. He's there. It's cruel, man.
Pete Prisco, you can read him, CBSSports.com. Also, listen to him as part of the Pick Six podcast. Definitely a must-listen to for NFL fans on iTunes. Follow him on Twitter at Prisco CBS. It is
By the way, you are the Aaron Rodgers of talk shows.
Yeah. Well, anybody can do this job, as you said, Pete. I mean, come on.
Now, you know what? Believe me, we're lucky in our profession because there's probably a lot of people that could do what we do. You know that.
That's true. That is very true. Pete,
we just work harder.
That's right.
We put the work in. We live it, and we love it. That's why we do what we do, DA. Come on. You're the Aaron Rodgers of the radio profession.
We live it. We love it. If he dies, he dies. Move the kid's carcass off the field. Next kid up. Kill him.
Yes, move the drill. Move the radio show over and run the next play.
That's
on the ground over there.
Get the next DA in there.
Yeah.
Pete, it's always good to talk to you, buddy. Thanks.
All right, DA. See ya.
Pete Prisco joining us on the show. If the kid dies, he dies. Next kid up. Prisco running the drills. I don't care. I don't care if he's bleeding from the nose. Move him out of the way. Next kid up. That's great. I don't care if you break the kid. Move the kid out of the way. Get the next kid in there. Wow.
Let's get him out.